Welcome everyone. This is the last episode of the Talking With series of 2021, of course. The series will continue also in 2022. And just 3 days left before this year ends. And I have here a special guest, Joe. We have been connected not for so much time. So this is the best way for me to connect with someone instead of chatting for months on Twitter. It's a way better way to interact with someone. So today we'll talk about the future of web development. But before that, I want to know a little bit more about Joe. Hey, Joe, how are you?
Hey, Francesco. It's so great to finally connect. I think it was maybe a month ago we connected over Twitter DMs. So it's nice, like you said, to do a live chat. I'm doing well. I'm very excited for the new year. On vacation right now. Going to go back to work next week. But yeah, really looking forward to 2022. I think there's a lot of exciting things in web development right now. And so I'm very excited for us to be able to talk about them today.
Nice. And 100 points for pronouncing my name correctly with that R. I think that you know some Italian. So this is really good for me. You pronounce that R perfectly. So nice. 100 points for you. And there we go. You made a very nice video on Twitter. I was answering to you before jumping on the live stream. You can confirm, Joe.
Got it. Okay.
He is the guy who made the video. Nice. I hope that this has been sent because I sent the video and then just closed the phone.
Yeah.
Hey there, I see some people. Hey,
Yeah,
Annie.
hey,
I don't know if you are that Annie on Twitter. Insha.
Hey,
Insha is amazing. Perfect. Was on people here, which is Insha and Joe. Perfect. Okay, so Joe, let's get started. Please introduce yourself. Tell a little bit of your background. I've seen something that you sold something. You made some money. Tell me how to make money. I'm out of money.
Oh man. Yeah, sure. So my name's Joe Previte. I work as an open source engineer for a startup called Coder. Coder is basically we have these remote development environments that you can just spin up. They're usually based on Docker environments. So you containerize your local environment into a Docker file, you deploy it, and then you can access it from anywhere. And so it's super exciting. I work on the open source side, so I focus on Code Server. And Code Server is basically an open source version of VS Code. It's a fork, and then we have our own patches and some features that we added. So that's what I work on during the day. Outside of work, I spend a lot of time on Twitter. I have a course called Vim for VS Code. That's where I've made some of that money that you're referring to. I also do some courses for Egghead. And then I've done some indie hacking projects, some like side ventures, done some like referrals, trying to think what else, where some of that money has come from. But yeah, like one of the things I try and do is work on side projects that make money.
I hope all legal activities, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course.
Exactly.
Nice. So, can I ask you how did you get started with tech? Because, for example, I heard so many different stories. I like to know just some minutes about backgrounds. I have so many different stories, so I'd like to spend some minutes. By the way, of course, please don't be shy, even in chat. Drop your questions because I have some questions for him, but we are doing these live streams because I want to let everyone the opportunity to make the questions. And also, I don't want to edit, but that's another story. Okay. Samina in the house.
Hey, Samina, I was watching your live stream before. So
yeah, we are cooking something. What's up?
So I can share a little bit about my background. It's always interesting meeting other developers and hearing how did they get to where they are. And so my story is probably similar to a lot of people out there. I went to college. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, so I started studying foreign languages like Spanish, Portuguese, Italian. So that's where the pronouncing your name comes in, because I spent about a year or two studying Italian. Nice. So it's rusty, so don't ask me to do it on the live stream. But yeah, so I started studying foreign languages. I graduated. I started doing a master's program in Italian, actually. And I was like, I don't know if this is going to be a career where I'm going to land somewhere where I'm happy, where I'm going to have a stable job, where it's going to be able to support a family. And so I started looking elsewhere. after my first year in a graduate program, I found Free Code Camp. And I started teaching myself JavaScript. And after like 3 months or 2 months or so, I started doing 100 days of code. And, about a month into that, I was like, you know what? I'm going to drop out of grad school and I'm going to try and do this full time. And so I dropped out. I got an internship, which led to a job and yada, yada, yada. And now I'm, here where we are today, chatting with you. But it all started with Free Code Camp.
Nice. And by the way, this is not sponsored, but I have this Free Code Camp. So this is not sponsored by Free Code Camp because they don't need that, of course. They don't need that, of course. Yes. I'm preparing something that you would like in, but it will be the next year. I can't say anything because when I announce something, I don't do that. Instead, I'm doing this silently, so I know myself. Hey, Lokesh, how are you? Nice profile picture. I'm also learning web dev, but when it comes to open course or open source,
Probably
or open source. Okay,
Yeah.
CNS said that they are close. It's difficult to contribute, so maybe it's open source. Yes. Yes. Okay, so let's start from the beginning because I think okay, I like the idea that let's say when you say that you got your hands dirty, so you made some stuff. So nice. So a little bit about background, and I want to know a little bit about the startup, and then we will step into the future of web development. If you have any question, drop them. I don't know if you would like to try to answer to this, but let's try if you can.
Let's try. Okay. Yeah, because I'm sure like the thing that helped me, because so going from a bachelor's degree in foreign languages and then teaching myself how to code, right? Like when you go the self-taught route, you need something to help you stand out. And so for me, it was contributing to open source. So one of the first projects that I contributed to was a project called Habitica. And Habitica, if you don't know, it's a gamified task manager. So you've got your to-dos, you check it off, and you get 100 coins. It's kind of how that works. And so, so you've got this question, I'm learning web dev, but when it comes to open source, it's difficult to contribute. And it is. I don't know if I can drop can I drop a link in the chat somehow? Actually,
I'll do this for you. Which one? The first or the second one?
Yeah, the contributing to open source.
What is the one open source?
Just right
contributing
there in the
to Rust.
chat.
To Rust. Yeah, sure. There we go.
Like one of the things that I think when you're trying to contribute to open source, right? I see it in Francesco. I'd love to hear your take on this, but I see it kind of as two paths, I guess, right? So one is like, oh, everyone's saying I should contribute to open source. Now let me go find a project, figure out how it works, and then contribute. That's one way. The other way, which is probably easier, is you're learning web dev or you're building projects. Look at the tools that you're using. Are they open source? Probably. Okay, now go into those. How can you contribute? And when you contribute to open source, it doesn't have to be like adding a big feature. It could be improving the docs, adding a new example, reporting a bug, like going through the issues, and maybe somebody has a bug and you come up with steps to reproduce. And you're like, here's a minimum reproduction, and like, here's a GitHub link. So there's multiple ways to contribute to open source beyond adding a feature. But I'd love to hear, what do you think about that?
I have a very small story, which is true, and this is not a promotion, but this is a true story, because now I'm working for Daily.dev, which is a company which has a lot of open source projects, plural, in their repository. One of my colleagues is a developer who was a contributor to our open source project. So he has been hired because he did some contribution to that. So this is true. This happens for real. And of course, I'll have him one day on this show. And of course, for him, the interview process has been super easy, a breeze, because he already knew the company, he already liked the company, he already know what the company works. So yes, I hope that this can give some inspiration. I'll try to have Lee as a guest on this series, but this can really change your life. It's not something that you have to do. I would say okay, so try to get inspired. Because of course, contributing to open source is like dedicating a part of your time to that activity. So if you need to eat or do something else, of course, that has the priority. You should not quit your job to contribute open source. That's wrong.
Yeah.
You should take, if you need that, a part of your time to understand how things work. Yeah,
Mhm.
there's a lot of people here.
Yeah, no,
I
I
want to do
totally
the
agree.
course. Nice.
I totally agree. I
Forgot
mean,
camp. Yeah, you die. Do this on live stream. Now you have done a video. You're set.
yeah.
For it.
Yeah. No, I
Okay.
agree with all that. Yeah, because like it does take time, right? Like people do this, and like that's why I say if you're going that self-taught route and you're having difficulty landing interviews, open source can help you stand out. It does, like obviously it takes time, but so does studying and prepping for interviews. And so,
Yeah, but for example, also making interviews takes time.
that's true.
I know friends of mine, Vito, made like it has been like a 2 weeks process for the interview, like homework, a lot of stuff. It's not like this for all the companies, but also the interview takes some time. So yes. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So okay, let's talk. Since this is a series, let's say for developers. So we are I think that the 95% of the people here are also developers. So this is good. So we can also go a little bit more technical. Maybe we can talk a bit about frameworks if you want. So let's get a bit techy. Let's say so. Let's talk about some technologies that you really like. I see that you are you're happy about that. So let's talk about technologies that you like. And maybe you see also the future for them. Please go.
Yeah, I would say the one that like there's a couple things that have been on my mind. Like one is Web3, and I know you've had people on, and I know
it seems like 12 minutes and 20 seconds to say that word. It's not a record.
Oh man, yeah, it's funny because I feel like in my Twitter bubble, I see a lot of people getting excited, right? And I saw you were coming out. I think you already came out with some Solidity stuff. I think I saw a video about.
I was editing a Solidity video before joining the.
There we go.
Shameless plug. Thank you for this assist. Yeah. And we can also discuss about, for example, how can you learn something new while you are also trying to live, basically. So you want to put something in your current life. You can't stop everything, say no to everyone, get divorced just to learn Web3. Don't do that.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. So Web3 is one. I've been seeing a ton of stuff like following Vercel, which I know you and I talked about briefly before, right? So like they acquired the maintainer of Svelte turbo repo. So I haven't touched Svelte too much, so that's something that's on my radar. Astro is another one. Have you been following Astro or seen Astro?
There is one colleague of mine who is a huge fan. I have to look at that. So after this, I have to look at that, because usually what I do, I wait until different people, they nominate something, say, okay, so this after, usually I always do this after dinner. After dinner, okay, so I put this on somewhere. No, so Astra, let me write this down. Okay, Astra. So.
Nice. That's funny. Yeah.
Let's answer to Danush. Can you contribute to open source if you know just HTML and CSS? I would love to show this question to Eddie Jaude. I suggest you to follow him. But yes, if you want, you can answer.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, no, that's a great question. You can definitely do it. I was trying to think if there's an easy way to find a project that just uses HTML and CSS. I mean, a basic way would be, so like, let's say you're learning, I don't know, React or something, right? So like let's say like the Create React app, that website is open source. There's it's built with React. But what you could do is find some of the HTML and CSS and contribute there. I mean, like the biggest thing would probably be finding some sort of project that has an open source website. It's written with HTML and CSS and contribute to that. That would be my answer to that.
Nice. We have also as a special guest in the chat, Danny Thompson. Danny, our interview is getting outdated. We need to make a different version. Yes, and if Eddie Jaude would be here, he will say, if you don't even need to be a developer to contribute to open source, you contribute to documentation. Sometimes with
Yeah.
a lot of projects, they lack of documentation. The README. There are so many things that you can do even without coding. So if you know HTML and CSS, you already know, I think, more than 90% of the people in the world. I don't know how many developers there are. There we go, Nanny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
No, that's such a great point. Like one of the projects I contributed to, they had a custom font and they needed to edit the font because one of the letters wasn't legible. And so I like opened up Photoshop or Illustrator, I edited it and then uploaded the new font file. So like you said, like you don't
is
have to know
amazing.
how to code. So
This is amazing. I think you solved a problem that could have stayed like for 20 years. Probably they would have changed the documentation to don't put that letter. So let's
exactly
don't use
right.
that letter.
Yeah, change the
I thought
language.
that it was not an A. Yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
What about you though?
Amazing.
I mean, same question to you. Like what technologies are coming on your radar? Like what are you excited about?
About technology that I use or that I'd like to learn?
Like to learn.
Like to learn. Now I'm focused on Solidity. I don't want to learn all the way three at once, because
Okay.
this has been the mistake that I made when I started to learn to code. I don't want to repeat myself with the same mistakes. Like I want to learn all the front-end frameworks. This is what I was thinking. I was thinking because I was not on Twitter at that time, so I was not following any tip. I was just alone in my room,
Yeah.
alone with a dark room with a black hoodie and a green screen. That was me some years ago. So don't want to repeat. I watched something. I like theory. I like math, for example. Don't unfollow me, but I like math. But when it comes into practice, I like to practice to one thing at once. So probably I want to step into Solidity because I'm enjoying the language. Honestly, I don't care about what people say about that. Don't do that. Do that. So I've made my researches, of course, before. I've seen that if that's worth or not worth. So I'm doing this now. If you want, you know what to do. Follow me and do that. Activate everything. Hey, Rafael, there we go. Here's the frequent camp mad. I'm thinking about doing the. Can we talk for 5 minutes since Rafael is here about the Frigate Camp RPG game? Because I want to try this RPG game, of course, in a live stream. So do you think that this is a good idea, Rafael? What do you think? And what do you think, Joe?
Yeah, what do you think, Raphael?
I think he agrees. Yeah. Let me.
Yeah, no, it's
Go. I try to find it in the meanwhile. I'll share it in the chat. Yeah.
Yeah. If you find the link. Yeah, no, that was one thing that I mentioned in our notes too, is for those who don't know, so Free Code Camp, right? They've got this, I guess, JavaScript full stack curriculum, and that's how I learned how to code. And it's gone through many iterations, and it just keeps getting better and better each year. I think they have data science and Python now too, but they also just came out with an RPG, which Francesco and I were talking about. And it's exciting because it's a desktop app. So you download it. I think it's cross-platform. So I think they have Windows, Linux, and Mac. And it's an RPG, and it's I guess it's kind of got like an anime style. It's kind of like 2D. You've got like the dialogue and everything that comes up, but you're a character and you learn how to code in the game. And there's like quizzes, there's vocabulary, there's mini games. So it's kind of like taking the Free Code Camp curriculum and putting a story on top. That's kind of you just
nice. So I found the link. Quincy Dodson has not put the link in his tweet, by the way, his fault. Let me also say that I am a big fan of the RPG. For example, I have this 20-sided dice, which is made by metal. This is not so common. So let's see if I can get some old RPG hype. How to find open source project?
Yeah, that's a good
maybe
question.
Maybe I think we can change the question on how can I choose, because I think there are many. Maybe there are too many open source projects, so maybe this is what you're asking. How can I choose that? What do you think?
Yeah. Can I share my screen and I'll show you just for a second?
Yeah, go for that. Tell me when. Okay, so I'll share this. Perfect.
Okay. So
for that.
Yeah, that's a great question. So this is actually a direct link from this blog post that I linked earlier of, last year or 2020, I guess. Oh, so almost 2 years ago. I was looking into learning Rust and contributing to open source. And so, yeah, it is really hard to find a project. The search that you see up here is pretty powerful, right? You can search globally pull request issues. And so when I was trying to find a project for Rust, you really have to put some criteria and kind of like you've got to like close in on a few things and filter out like, okay, like how can I find something, right? So if we look here, right, I'm saying I want to find an open issue. It is an issue. And then I'm filtering it by org, so GitHub org. So in this case, I wanted to contribute to the Rust Lang org. Archived, false, something that's not archived. And then label. I found out in the Rust Lang org, they have this one called eMentor, which basically means, hey, we have an issue. Somebody knows how to solve it. And they're willing to mentor someone else. So, like this could be a great way if you're learning Rust to find something, and they've got like easy. So this would be a way to like find a way to contribute to the Rust ecosystem.
Nice. And for example, this is very well documented issues.
Yeah.
I think from the first glance. You can also have mentors to help you. You issue more than 5K issues, so I think that you can find an issue that you can solve.
Yeah.
Check that. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, that's one example.
Rust is recommended by Jack Dorsey. Yeah. For example, can I remove the screen?
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
No problem. Yes, for example, I was thinking about deciding between Rust and Solidity, but I don't want to learn two languages at the same time. So this is also can be a choice. So we can discuss about that, and we can still be friends, I hope. So because I'm kind of new. That is nice. It's nice. Yeah, what I suggest is to don't learn two new languages at the same time. If you can do that, it's good for you, but for me it doesn't work. I can barely learn something at the same time. Yeah.
Can I ask, how did you decide between Solidity and Rust? Because I'm looking at it like from my perspective, right? Like I still work as a Web 2 developer, and I could use Rust in my current job. And if I learned Rust, I could use it in Web 3. But if I learned Solidity, I can't really use that in my day job. So how did you decide?
I decided because I've asked to many people. I read many articles, and in many of them, for example, Nader Debit, Oliver Jumpers, other people that are more expert for me than me for sure, and they say that this is a good way to step because it has some keywords. I've also tried some ways, so I really wanted to do something specific, and I've also someone else said that maybe it has a harder learning curve. So since I'm dumb and I don't, I need something simple to start and also to share my content. I think this is a good way to learn Web3, but this doesn't mean that I can't. But for sure, I will not learn both of the languages. Like one day I check Rust, and one day I check Solidity, because I know myself. If I do that, I will never learn either one or another one. So I try with the simple, with the what I think that people consider the easiest one. Of course, it depends on your background, how smart you are. I'm not that smart, so this is why I've chosen this. So for now, I want to stick to this for a decent amount of time, and then I'll see.
That makes sense.
That's it. Yudai is amazing, by the way. I should hire him. Yudai, I need help. I need an assistant for real. The responsive design just got an update. It's project based. You don't need to wait until the end to work on practice project.
Okay.
Yeah. Nice. Perfect. Okay. So let's step into what the title of this live stream is. So future of web dev, let's say, since now it's the end of the year. So about web development, so something specific, because otherwise we can talk about this for days, probably until the 1st of January. So let's try to stick to a fixed amount of time. So which are your thoughts about especially web development for 2022? So people can come here in 6 months and comment and say you were wrong, Joe.
Oh, okay. We got to come up with some spicy hot takes that people can, quote tweet us and say, "Hey, that's what you said, and you were wrong." So, good.
This was the goal of this stream, to get people coming back. So yes,
Yeah.
I'll share this video, of course.
Yeah.
Hey, Yash.
I would say remote development. I mean, I'm biased because I work at a company that's trying to push this forward, but I would say remote development environments are going to be more commonplace. So like we've seen this year, I mean, I'm pretty sure that code spaces became general availability, like GA, so everyone can access them. They added the keyboard shortcut where you hit the period and it opens up vscode.dev or github.dev, whichever one that is. Yeah, so I don't know. My hot take is more people are going to be using remote development environments instead of local.
Nice.
What do you think?
Can you make some? Yeah, this could be
Yeah.
because I've seen a lot of hype around that. I've seen code spaces some days ago, which are some companies who are into that. This is not sponsored, by the way.
Yeah. I can. If you want, I can share my screen and kind of show.
Okay. The first time it was free. Now it's paid for you, Joe. So if you want, do you allow me? Let's go. Except I've already your credit card, so I share it now.
I'll send you some Bitcoin or ETH after.
Perfect.
Yeah. So like just to give an example, like of the product that I help out with and what happens at Coder is, right. So like you've got this workspace, and this is based on a Docker image. So I've basically taken my development environment, so like I've got like Vim and all that, Node, Yarn, all that, right? And I've put it into a Docker file, and then Coder builds that as a Docker container, and it gives me basically code server, which is VS Code in the browser. And so with this, I can develop, like right now I'm on my personal laptop. I could open this on my work laptop, and it opens up right where I left off. Like earlier today, I was working on my personal website. The other thing it gives you, is a web-based terminal. So like when I'm saying remote development environment, this is what I'm talking about. I don't know. I think this could be pretty exciting. This kind of stuff.
And also, this Docker thing looks promising. I like that. I should step more into that.
Yeah. Well, that's your area. Hey, that's your area. So.
Yeah, good. Yeah, but this is jokes aside. This is why I insist so much in learning the basic of containerization. So because I think that in 5 years we will use containerization in a more transparent way. Probably will not be sharing like there will not be maybe so many courses to get started with containerization, because that will be done for granted. There are no more like those courses. Maybe there are if you look for them, but maybe not something new and super updated. So this is why I insist, like this is the moment to learn the basics, to understand at least what's going on, because we are using something powerful. But of course, when we start to configure this, we need to know what's going on. Yes. So yeah. Nice. I see that. Yeah, I don't know if I'm right, but maybe there are other companies like Gitpod who does this. Shameless plug. This is not something coordinated, but I will have the developer advocate of Gitpod on this channel in 1 month. Pauline Narvas. She will be on this YouTube channel, and she will show me Gitpod in action. Check my future live streams, because I will have here the developer advocate of Gitpod. So I think there will not be a better person to learn that. And I don't know if also AWS Studio does something like that or not.
No. I'm not as familiar. Yeah, I know. So we've talked about Coder. We've got code spaces. We have Gitpod. We have Replit. We have Code Sandbox. We have StackBlitz. I mean, like it's a big space. And one of the things that we were talking about before is this project by Code Sandbox that came, I don't know when it came out. I just heard about it yesterday on Twitter. but it's called Sandpack. And it's basically tools, it's an open source library that lets you build your own code sandbox, your own playground in the browser.
Nice.
So it's pretty exciting.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So, okay. I like this. So this is something that you think that we will talk about. And I think that you are already right. Because, for example, in January, I have Alice Pittel for AWS Studio. I don't know if you know her. For Gitpod, Pauline Harvest, both of them in January. And I've also had sorry for the self-promotion, but I had the Docker software engineer, Philip Cruz, who was like in charge of creating the Docker dev environments, for example. So I had him on my YouTube channel, talked about code spaces. So it seems that it's something that people are liking because I think that they are the tools that make the life of developers easier. We're already kind of stressed, we can say. So we are looking for tools which helps our life, at least our developers' life, let's say.
Yeah. No, exactly. And I'll stop sharing now so you can go back.
Okay, so let me go back here. Can we read some questions because we have many. So now let's make some questions. What are your views on static site generators, cons versus pros? I've tried some of them. I don't know. I know maybe Jekyll is a static site generator. I've played a bit with that. It looks good, but it depends on your use case. I don't know if there are others. Maybe you're more skilled than me.
Yeah. Jekyll I've played with, which is based on Ruby, I believe, and I don't know Ruby, so I think that's why I switched away. And then Hugo with Go, right?
Yeah, also Hugo, because I think that I've tried some of them. I don't know if you have any take. I don't know what you are. So what do you want us to talk about? I think it depends on your use case. If you want to create something, maybe a pro for sure is that you can host them for free. This can be a static pro. That's for sure. Cons maybe flexibility. You have to learn something. You have to learn how Jekyll works. You don't have to learn Ruby, I think, but you have at least to. I've tried to install Jekyll. You have to install, for example, on a Mac. You have to install with Gem Ruby. I can't remember the Gem, something with Gem. So we have to learn some. Maybe you have to install something on your machine, and you don't want that. So maybe if it's just for one project, I don't know if that's worth to learn a whole framework. This is just my take.
No, I agree. The one that I'm excited about for 2022 is Astro, which is the website's astro.build. So that's the one that I'm keeping an eye on.
Yeah, I have friends who makes two likes from 2 different accounts. We need more people than you, Graham. Nice.
That's funny.
Okay, we can take this. Sorry, but we got many questions, which is good, but okay. So, thoughts about serverless Jamstack development? If you can go first.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. Right, so Jamstack is JavaScript APIs and markup. Yeah, I mean, like when I think of serverless, I think of Next.js and the serverless functions, the API routes. I mean, like it's such a beautiful API, right? Like all you have to do is add that API directory or folder, and you get serverless functions out of the box. Like it's amazing. I mean, I'm a big fan because I've had projects in the past where I have an API key. I don't want to put it on the client. I don't want to expose it. And so I have to spin up a small Express server. And so with serverless functions, all you do is you write one function, and that has access to the environment variable to the API key. So, I don't know. I mean, I think to me right now, like it feels like there's a lot happening. Like a lot of people are doing serverless Jamstack development. I feel like it's kind of mainstream, but I don't know. What do you think, Francesco?
Yeah, I haven't played much with Jamstack and serverless. Maybe a little bit more with serverless. I have some ideas of how it works, but I have not. I didn't went into details because maybe it's a bit more outside maybe of the containerization world. So I'm more like on the style of containerizing containerizing, sorry, your backend, but of course, it's a technology that suit. For example, I can say, can you say this? I think yes. On FeedHive by Simon Hoiberg, we use a serverless approach. So, for example, for him, it worked very well. So yes, we also use the framework for the serverless. So that's it. I don't have much to say about this because I'm more on the on other parts, maybe connecting Docker and containers to languages. That's it. I'm following that path, although I want to learn more about backend development. Yeah, I know there will always some stuff to learn. Yellow Cache, we have answer to this, so you can check the answer later. I already forgot what we said, but we said something. I remember. I forget.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. Nice. Okay, nice. So something else, if you want, you can drop some other questions. Otherwise, let's see here. You put some link for Udai.
Oh, yeah, because they mentioned learning more about backend development. One article that I have bookmarked is this intro to databases, data modeling, database types from Prisma, and it's very high quality. And so, if I were to dive in right now, like that's what I would use. Yeah.
Nice. Perfect. I like it. So let me check here if we have. I think we have talked about many things.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is something that I think can happen. So basically, environment for developers. About some, for example, Vercel. I think that it will be used more and more. I see this. I know all the developer relation team on Vercel. They are amazing. Also as people, but they never sent me a swag. So minus 10 points for them. Yes. Okay. So, okay. Let's see if we have something other questions. Yeah, Udai. Thank you for this. Okay, so something else. Maybe do you want to say maybe something about I don't know, some new technologies? For example, you can talk about Rust if you have stepped into that. So of course, let's try to stick to web development, so something maybe which is accessible to everyone. But do you have some other takes? You can now we can go also on the risky part. So maybe we say like the things that maybe. So if you say this now, I can also cut the video now. So in this case, I'll cut the video on YouTube. You can cut a video on YouTube after uploading that. So I'll say now bye bye. And then I can cut this part. Okay, now you can say whatever you want, Joe. Go.
Oh man, you're saving my reputation by cutting out the bad takes.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, with Rust, like one of the things that I think is interesting is seeing. So in web dev, right, we rely on a lot of these tools, bundlers, parsers, things like that, and a lot of them are written in JavaScript or tend to be. And it seems like there's been a move to rewrite some of these tools to be faster, more performant, etc. in Rust. So that's interesting to me, right? So like let's say us as web developers, we use these tools and we don't need to know Rust because they work with our JavaScript projects. But the developers building those, they're using Rust. And so that's interesting to me. I dropped a link in our chat, which you can share if you want.
Yeah, let me say something that maybe it's interesting for you.
Yeah.
I have one friend of mine, which also I met in person, Loige, he does Rust live streams on Twitch. I think he's the only person in the world who does this. So maybe I'll send you this, but he tried to convince me, but he didn't make. So maybe at least I can make you meet because he is currently doing this with also a team with other people. He tried to convince me, and so I'll show you this, and I'll send you also this one. He's also Italian, so you can also practice some Italian with him. So nice. So let me find him.
Yeah, while you're finding that, I can talk a little bit more.
Sure.
Yeah. This blog post is really interesting. It's a quick read for anyone who saw it. It's a 10-minute read. I'm trying to think what the most interesting, right? So So SWC we talked about. SWC is used by Next.js, Parcel, Dino. It does compilation, minification, bundling. So like, think Babel, Webpack, all those things. And it's written in Rust. And that was acquired by Vercel, I believe, in 2021. So that's interesting. There's Dino, right? It's built with Rust.
Nice.
Rome is another like linter compiler built with Rust. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if anyone from the chat, like, I'd
Nice.
love to.
Yeah, the guy which I'm talking about, his name is Luciano Mammino, and he does Rust live streams, and he's also the author of a world famous Node.js book. Node.js design pattern. I've also the book over there. Maybe I can also go grab that maybe later if you have 10 seconds. But yes, so it's interesting because, for example, this is one of the reasons why I make these interviews, because we can learn something of the other person, because sometimes on Twitter it's impossible to stay updated.
I know.
Yeah, so in this case, at least we have 20 minutes when you can focus at least on something, and there is a great exchange of information, so it will be amazing. And yes.
What about for you? I mean, like, I've been talking about how Rust is it's coming into my like peripheral, and I know you've talked about Solidity, but like outside, I guess, of Web3, like what other stuff is grabbing your attention in terms of web dev?
Let's see. I would like to try another maybe front-end framework. Yes, maybe no, before that, because otherwise I want to step more into Next.js. I've used that for my website, but I've been more on the backend side. So maybe I would like to check more. It seems very easy to use. Probably I use the Next.js for my portfolio, for my personal website. I want to check that. Yes, that's it for now for the front end. Maybe Tailwind, I've taken a look. So that's it. When I don't know something, I go very mainstream, because I think that if you don't know a word, it's better to use something which is already used. There are forums, so I can ask my dumb questions and read some questions. So it's this is usually the way to go. I don't take something super niched if I don't know the word. I go super mainstream and mainstream. What about Java? I can't say anything because I met the official Java developer advocate in San Francisco, and he made me a whole trip of San Francisco, so I can't say anything bad about Java now. I've used Java in the past, also Spring Boot. This is one of the languages that you can use, so it depends on your project, of course. This has been how I learned the API, for example, but it depends on the company. But I think you can be super successful. You can get a lot of money if you know Java. So gosh, I see no one talking about it because there is life outside Twitter. You die.
No way. I don't believe
no. But they say so. But I know because on Twitter people are bullish about just JavaScript, Python. If you code PHP or if you are a WordPress developer, you are a bad person. You have to be jailed. And college only taught me to hate Java. I think this is the problem. They teach you Java in the bad way, so you say I don't like Java. I think this is the main problem, and also long names and long class names. This is the two main problems of Java. It's Josh, don't unfollow me. Yes.
Oh man, that's funny. Yeah, I haven't touched Java. I mean, I talked about it earlier. For those who didn't hear, I learned how to code with Free Code Camp, which teaches JavaScript. So I haven't had to touch Java. So I don't have any hate or dislike associated. But yeah, I agree. In my Twitter bubbles, Java, like if you bring up Java, like people will make jokes. So
yeah. I think I follow just two people who use Java. One is Angie Jones, and the other is Meet. Let's see, Francesco, if you do plan on a live stream playing the Figure Camp RPG, it would be great to have Lynn Zhang join you. She's the main creator behind the game, but I want to make the game alone. I don't want her to help me with cheats. Nice. Let's talk about this. My problem is always time. If I can stop sleeping, I will get so much free time. Java was my beginning with programming. Nice. Can you do? And Twitter taught me love JavaScript. Nice. You have been
That's
converted.
hilarious.
Nice. Okay.
Converted another one.
I don't know. But for example, I still remember the time when I say like, no, yesterday I got someone says like, someone told
Yeah.
me like in 1 year nobody will use JavaScript anymore. I don't know who made this prophecy, but I want this written down or I want this in a video so I can come
Yeah.
back. I'll make a countdown and I'll bookmark that that prophecy because I don't know.
Yeah. No, that's funny. Yeah, I mean, like I don't know, like isn't there that saying like always bet on JavaScript? I can't remember who said that, but I don't know. It's worked out for me, at least in my career.
Yeah, I think that I had at least 2 or 3 people who made almost millions of dollars using WordPress. So it's more about
Yeah.
how you
Yeah.
use your tools. I can also send the links if you want.
Yeah.
So I know people who are maybe more focused on the marketing side. They make a lot of money, so they are not wrong. Yeah, maybe we try to give suggestion even maybe of what we use. For example, I don't use WordPress. If there is a young guy says just which is the best way to do web development, since you have maybe a lot of time, you can maybe wait some years before being expert. So in that case, but for example, if you want to get started and get paid, you can also learn WordPress sites, for example. Nothing wrong with that. Maybe the only thing is better to focus at least a couple of months. So otherwise you don't reach a level when you can get paid. It's like every week you change instrument, you play another instrument. You can't get paid in that. So at least try to find a job with that.
Yeah, it's like you said. I mean, you said you did it with the front end frameworks, right? You were trying to learn them all at the same time, and like now, you're focused on Solidity, and so because you're focusing, like maybe in 3 months you take a contract where you're doing Solidity development, right? Like you have to reach a proficiency before someone will pay you to work on something. And I like what you said with WordPress. I mean, it just depends on what market you try, right? Like if you want to get paid as a freelancer, WordPress might be the way to go.
Yeah, I think it's more about the mindset. I don't know if this is also like that in other parts of the world, but for example, in Italy, there are these kind of bars when people just discuss about football and say, they can talk about that all day long. They can talk about 15 hours about, maybe it would be better to focus on something instead of, because I know, I like the idea that we as developers are really passionate about our technologies. If someone comes here and say like, oh, I don't like Docker is useless, probably I'll start to I want to say something, of course, because this is the technology that I use and I trust in the technology. I know what you can do with that, and this is something. But I think that we can have totally different paths. It's more about being flexible, curious. I made a lot of Twitter spaces also about improving your communication. Communication is something that you can improve. We think that just communication is something that you're born with that, but for example, as a developer, this is something I think is the most important skill as a developer.
I agree.
But how does DevOps related to web development? What technologies to learn related to this, and who to follow in 2022? Francesco is one of them for sure, but they asked me, so I'm biased, of course. There's also Joe, of course. But would you like to go first?
Yeah, I'm not the DevOps guy, so I can't say a ton here. When I think of DevOps and front end development, I think of configuring GitHub workflows, CI/CD, right? Continuous integration. So you make a change, you push it to GitHub, it builds your projects, it runs the tests. Like that's what I think of when I think of DevOps. And what technologies to learn. It's weird because I feel like, early in my journey, I was like, oh, I need to learn Travis. I need to learn like Docker. I need to learn Kubernetes, like all these things. I feel like we get so caught up in, I got to learn this thing. You got to look at the end goal. If your end goal is to be a front-end developer, I would go look at 5 job postings, look at the technologies they use, and learn a little bit of each. What do you think about that?
There was a meme, now I can't find it, but there was a meme like website in the 90s, like HTML, CSS, JavaScript deployed. And now there is like React, and the Webpack, the CI/CD. So that was a meme, but it's because I think that there are so many technologies now that sometimes we lose the focus on the project. So I think that now there are more, I don't know, I don't have any statistics, but I think that there are more projects we just get abandoned because maybe some technologies become outdated. But you can always change your dependencies. You can change your package manager. You can do a lot of stuff now. So maybe it's better to start from the project and then choose the technologies, because sometimes I always see the opposite. Like now I want to learn, I don't know, something. And for example, I want to learn more about NFTs and smart contracts, so I teach Solidity. We can do the exact same example with natural languages. I don't learn Russian because I don't know. Today I have nothing to do. If I want to maybe to go to Russia, then I learn the Russian. So for normal languages, this makes totally sense. For development, sometimes it doesn't make sense. Now, Solidity is the way to go because Francesco said this. No, I'm sharing daily tips about Web3 and Solidity because I want to learn Solidity, because I want to learn the process of minting, the process of NFT. I can sell and buy them. Maybe I can also create a startup with some of my friends. So this is my thoughts, and then I will learn that. Because, for example, in the past, when I make this kind of tips, you think that I am like super expert, but I'm an expert of failures because I made all the mistakes. I did the same mistake with the Go language. I said, okay, now let's learn Go because I like the Go language, because that's cool. But I had not a current project to use that, so I stopped using that after some weeks. I can't remember. I was more focused on the language and less on the project. But okay, now you know Japanese, but then you don't exercise every day. It's useless. Yeah,
I can relate to that. I mean, I know I linked that post about contributing to Rust, but that's what happened to me in 2020. I was learning Rust to learn the language, and I had to look for projects to build, and I built one or two to help me learn the language. But now right now I don't have a specific use case for it, so I kind of forgot all that knowledge, like exactly the same that you said with Go.
Yeah. So you are learning by people who made mistakes and not people who are perfect, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. I hope that we have. I like that there are a lot of people dropping questions today.
Yeah.
So this is also the last episode of the year. I will repeat, this is not the last episode of all, but I'm really enjoying this kind of. Let's say that I can say that this is my favorite series, because I also made other streams, but this is the stream that I made more consistently, because this is a way for me to learn to learn something new. I always learn something new, and I think this is also an opportunity if you want to do something, also for the guest. So thank you, Joe. Joe, we are close to 1 hour, so usually I make them last for about 1 hour. So
okay.
Would you like to maybe to give? We can start to wrap this up. I'm a bit sad because this is the last of the year, but no, but it's okay. It's okay. So can we make a fast recap? Usually, I like to give my guests a final message. Sorry, we have the last question for Rafael. I want to take that, and then we step into the. Okay, people now are dropping questions. Okay. HTML, CSS, and JavaScript would not be enough for the first job. I think maybe it's JavaScript Node. Why JavaScript Node? HTML, CSS will not be enough. I think it's a lot. I don't know. It's what do you think?
Yeah, Raphael, that's a great question. I mean, I can talk about, so like the very first job that I got was a contract kind of internship role at an agency, and it was a WordPress agency, and all I knew was HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and that was from Free Code Camp. That was literally all I knew. Didn't know any Node, like nothing. And I was able to get an internship and like get my foot in the door. But yeah, I mean, today, like, it really depends, right? Because there's a really good talk. I'll grab a link in a second. But when you think about a front end developer, like I would say maybe 5 years ago, yes, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, that would get you web developer. That's your title. You'd get a job. Now, we're kind of like, especially I know some people brought up the serverless functions and Jamstack. It's kind of blending, right? Like how much should a front end developer know today to get a job? And there's a great talk from looks like 2019 from Chris Coyer, the founder of CSS Tricks. I'll drop a link for Francesco to put in the chat.
Before the COVID, so a lot of time ago.
Yeah, exactly. It's literally, yeah, I know, it's eons ago. He talks
Start
about
from zero, like we are at year number 2 now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He talks about how like the lines between front end and full stack and back end are kind of blurring in the web development space because you can do more on the back end with like serverless functions. And so, yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Francesco? Like if you had a cousin who was going to get a job, like what would you tell them?
Yeah, I think that if you are starting from the basics, you are already on the right track. And of course, there is this question. In my opinion, it doesn't have an answer because it depends on where do you live, how many languages do you know. If you don't know English, you have, for example, you have less chances. Or maybe if you don't know German, maybe
or Russian.
In German, maybe in Russian, they want mother tongue, so maybe you don't have any chance. So this question doesn't have an answer because I think that you are on the right track. I don't know you, but if I am an interviewer, I've been an interviewer. If I see like that a lot of frameworks, but maybe you started 2 years ago, I don't know. Maybe it could be, but probably I will start making questions. If I see like I started 2 years ago and I see only HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, it's maybe a contribution to open source, a project that you have done, a GitHub account. I see, okay, so maybe this person is on the right track. Because I think that if you have the solid basics, you can either learn a language. Of course, it depends on the job, the offering, the salary. But I think this means that you are super focused and you know what to do. So I made this joke a couple of days ago. I have way less things on my CV now than when I started the development. Because before that, I would say that I made a project in Java. Okay, now I'm in Java. And a project with PHP and no PHP. Now I have like 4 things, which are like Docker, Kubernetes, Node.js, and that's it, I think. And so I have less things because now I know what I want to be hired for. I'm way more secure. I want to learn. I want to use those technologies. I keep getting people on LinkedIn asking me for a Java position, but I don't have Java on my CV anymore. For example, this is a joke, of course. So, so now I've removed the stuff because I think that because I think from an interviewer point of view, if you see too many technologies, say, so maybe it's a generalist, maybe you are a master of everything, but the chances are I don't want to say that maybe you just made a Udemy course on a Hello World, but maybe you had less experience in some of them. I still remember a person who made like PHP developer. I asked one question and they barely know what a PHP is. So in that case, the interviewer said, okay, so maybe what you say is not true. And I think this is the worst thing that you can do in an interview. Because if you say, I don't know, it's okay. If you say in a CV that you know something and then they asked about that because they want to help you, this happened to me more than once, said, okay, so maybe this person just is pretending to be someone else. So I think this is totally enough for the first job.
That's such a good like kind of story that you shared of, you have less technologies on your resume CV than you do when you started, right? Because like when you're just starting out, it's like, oh, I know HTML, CSS, JS, Git, you throw like GitHub on there, like it's just you don't know, right? And I want to know what you think, like, but I feel like as you spend more time in this industry, I feel like you start to kind of specialize, right? Like you're known for Docker, like I might be known for JavaScript or TypeScript. And so I feel like at least, you get more and more specialized unless you make a career change and say like, well, now I'm going to be a Golang developer or now I'm going to do Rust, right? But you kind of start at the bottom again. What do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think if you want, if your parents are millionaires, you just
Yeah.
sit on your house, you don't have any problem with money. You can learn one day. You go. One day you learn Java. You really don't care. You're free. One day you stream a game on Twitch. You're happy. If you're focused and if you want to find a job as a developer because you need to help your family, I think that the best way is to decide something and go on with that. The problem, or sometimes I do this analogy with medicine. You can't be a specialist in all the medicine things, and that's totally fine. Everybody is okay with that. In development, it's a bit more foggy. It's a bit maybe I can learn. Okay, maybe I can learn something. Maybe there are so many courses that we have the opposite problem. So this is why you should choose on what you want to be, especially in what you want to get money. So to be super honest, this
Yeah,
is my idea.
I
And
agree.
you can be 100% sure that when you get hired, there is something that you don't know. Maybe you don't know. You don't
Yeah.
know that Linux distribution because they've used another one. You don't know, I don't know, something about SSH. You don't know that exact DB because you've worked with all the existing DB except that one. This can happen. So there will be for sure something that you need to learn anyway when you join a company. You should be ready to that.
Yeah.
You should at least learn a modern framework. Yes or not? Yes, I don't know what do you mean by modern. What I suggest to don't do. So instead of saying like what you should do, maybe you can say what you should avoid.
Yeah.
Use frameworks without knowing what's going on. Because if you start doing this, you can lose literally hours or days. In those days, maybe better to learn something. I remember something that I said a couple of months ago, like, wow, I should have skipped the fundamentals because I don't really need that. Said no one ever.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Oh, that's good. That's good.
Nice. Karina, Shroff. There are a lot of questions. So we're past 1 hour. Can you stay 10 more minutes?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
since
yeah.
it's the first time, the first last one. So
Yeah, we can
okay, so let's stay
maybe
because
rapid fire. We can
yeah,
do.
we have Felipe Cruz is the software Docker software engineer. We've
Oh,
talked about
hey.
Docker dev environment. I've also mentioned you should go and check the video. So how to learn backend development. Start from the basics and the concepts. Learn what an API is. I don't know what's your current level. Learn the concepts instead. Choose a technology, one technology, and then learn a technology with that. For example, I learned the backend development using Java because I was using that. So use a technology to learn the concepts. Don't learn just three backend technologies
Yeah.
because the basics are the same because the computer they talk with HTTP or other protocols, but learn about the basics and use a technology, but just use one. And if you are in the university, use that technology.
Yeah.
And then integrate it with DevOps. Normal process. Follow me. Jokes aside, API development, learn a technology, and then containerization. If
Yep.
you have time, of course. This is my idea. You asked about DevOps.
I agree.
Any dev started? Sorry, do you want to add something?
No, no,
Let's
no,
go
no, no,
fast.
no.
Let's go
You
fast. Let's
covered
see
it.
if we can answer faster than they can type
Okay.
questions. Let's see. Let's see. It will be hard. Any dev starting learning right now, they should aim to be more a full stack dev if they are going into JavaScript. I think that this can be a goal because JavaScript can open many doors. I don't suggest to have this full stack myth in your head if you're just getting started, if you just started 1 week ago, because otherwise there is the risk that you see that there is too much stuff and you give up.
Yep.
This is something that can happen.
I
So
agree.
JavaScript is nice, except that person who said that in 1 year it will not be more used. I need to bookmark that one. And yes, this could be a goal. For example, I like that for example, now I'm using Solidity. I find JavaScript into Solidity and I am a happy person, for example. So you will always see JavaScript popping in some places. It depends on what you want to do. If you want just to do, I don't know, just want to be a data scientist, you can also live also without JavaScript. Maybe you are also live better. I don't know. I want to add
Yeah, yeah.
something.
No, yeah. I mean, I would say, yeah, if you're starting out, if you're trying to get your first job, it's probably not going to be a full stack. Usually I see full stack as like, having a like mid-level, senior level. If you're starting out, it's going to be like junior, entry level. So I would say pick a path, front end or back end, but be familiar, right? If you choose front end, be familiar with Node.js or building an API or how that works. But yeah, I mean, it's like you said, you got to develop a proficiency, you got to get hired. And so the best way to do that is to focus on front end or back end, in my opinion.
Yeah, because I think if you know how backend works, let's say that
Yeah.
you have studied the backend with Java, let's say, then you work on front end, you learn React, then you apply for a position. They look for a React developer. Then in the interview they ask something about React that hopefully you know. Then they ask, okay, how will you connect this? For example, with Node.js, you can say, I don't know Node.js, but I know how internet works. So I don't know the exact technology, but I've done this, for example, with Java, and I've done this interface with controller. You can talk about your technology. And if they're looking for a real full stack developer, probably that's not the job for you. If they are looking something, they just want to know if you, as a front end developer, know how to interact with the backend technology. If probably you will need to learn that backend technology of the company, because this is something that it's better for you. But maybe you have higher chances because at least you have an idea of what's going on. Say, okay, so it's like a controller. Okay, so instead here we have different stuff. We have something different. We don't know, to run the test, the backend test, I have to run this different command. But the technology under that it's is the same. This is from my point of view. What do you say, Joe?
Yeah, no, I would agree. I mean, again, like it goes back to like if this is your first job, you want to focus on something, develop the proficiency, and then you want to be familiar with the backend. I mean, like because wherever you join, chances are there's going to be front end developers and back end developers. And so if you join as a front end developer, you're going to interact with the back end developers. So you need to be familiar so you can talk to them and work with them and collaborate. If you're a back end, you need to be familiar with the front end. You don't need to be an expert in React, but you might work with React or Vue or Svelte developers. So again, it's familiarity, right? Like be able to have a conversation, kind of like we're just chatting right now, like that kind of thing,
Yeah, and usually, okay, so there is this myth of the full stack developer, but
Yeah.
usually what a company is looking for, it's something specific. We are lacking someone on the front end. We are lacking someone on the back end. So
Exactly.
this is what really, maybe the company, they put full stack developer as they're looking for, but in reality, they are looking for something more specific. Because maybe they want someone who knows a lot of stuff, and they want also to pay not much. But in reality, maybe they are lacking on some parts of the application. Unless you are like, it's like a company without developers and they're just trying to hire one developer. But hopefully, if this is your first job and you are behind in a team, maybe it's better to be focused on one technology and say, okay, so we are missing someone who can do front end, and of course, then the more you know, the better. I see a lot of questions here. First, from then choose a framework you like Vue. I thought that the like was a JavaScript framework. So okay, I don't know like. Okay.
Oh man, that's funny.
Okay, this will be the last question. Otherwise, I think we are going way longer. But this is a sign that at least we've chosen a good topic. Thank you, Joe, for being here. This is a question for you: how to figure out which technology stack for backend? Good resources for backend development. If you want, you can go first, or I can add some.
Yeah, I'll add a little bit, and then you can add on. But yeah, I mean, again, I would look at the job descriptions, like look at where you want to work and look at those just job descriptions, right? If you're applying for a backend developer role, look at the stack that they're using and kind of like cater it to the market that you're applying in. That's what I would do for choosing a stack. Good resources. We linked to one earlier. Prisma has that data guide. So look up Prisma data guide on your search engine of choice. And then Free Code Camp has some Node.js stuff, which you can learn as well.
Perfect. I think that you answered already. So thank you, Joe. I'm not going to add more stuff. Let's wrap it up. this is the end of this year of this Talking with Serious. I'm super happy that I managed to make still about one interview per week. So I managed to do this for 2021. I hope to continue doing this in 2022 because I noticed that a lot of people, they know that this series exists, and of course you can also do your podcast. You're not copying me on anybody else, but it's important to keep going if you like to do something. So just a small shout out for the live stream itself. Remember to follow Joe on Twitter. He's an amazing guy, has a lot of knowledge, he shares a lot of interesting stuff. Yudai, thank you for joining today. Yes, Joe, let's wrap this 2021. Come on, let's do it. Enough questions. Don't make more questions.
No more comments. Thanks, Francesco. Thanks, everyone, for the questions. And yeah, we'll see you online and around the internet.
Perfect. We are done. We have another interview on the 5th of January with Pratim, developer advocate. And so let's check the other. Happy New Year. Okay, yes, yeah. We are about to close this 2021. Last 2 months, I didn't even notice that they were about to start, and we are already here. I talk like an oldie now, and I can understand the old people. They always say this all day long. Nice, Joe. Perfect. I enjoyed this a lot. Thank you.
Yeah.
We had a lot of questions. Maybe we tried to answer them all. Perfect. Nice. I really wish you best luck for this 2022. I want to see a tweet of yours that you made like at least $1 million. I want to read that. Maybe you want to post that.
Sure. Once I make $1 million, I'll tag you.
I want you to make me jealous.
Okay, perfect. Thanks,
Perfect.
Francesco.
We are done. Okay, see you next year.
All right,
Bye-bye.
see you next year.
Bye-bye.